Welcome back. We're on part two of episode 77, and it's time for the hot tags. And I have three that I wanted to mention this week, and one of them really doesn't matter all that much, so we might as well get that one all out of the way. The fact that WrestleMania earned $72 million, which is a record, supposedly, but when you start talking numbers like they made 60 something million and 72, it just gets nonsense. I know obviously that I didn't contribute a whole lot to that 72 million because I fucking once I bought my ticket, that was it. I didn't even buy any merchandise or anything. Peyton, different story because of all he bought the sock monkey and everything like that. But
That dude was like going WrestleMania shopping, man.
right. So what do you guys think? That was this WrestleMania good enough to earn records or bullshit?
Yeah, 27 can earn 1 million buys. I don't see how this one couldn't. It's just probably going to earn 1 million every year. It's Mania. It draws itself.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think we've hit a point where it's going to, like I said, it's going to make $1 million no matter what. As far as content wise, I think last year's WrestleMania was way better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought that was a really well put together complete package. This one just nothing happened.
To me, they play it safe a year or they phone it in, and then the next year you get a way better show, and then the year after that it tanks again, and then they pick up the pace the year later. It's like always like every time you order it, you never know if you're going to get a so-so show or the show of shows.
But that's the thing. Now Hollywood's kind of cracking down on guys like The Rock. I don't think they're going to have a show like that again. And the same thing goes for guys like Dave Bautista. Anybody that's got themselves linked to a sort of a major motion picture or anything like that, they're going to put a lean on these guys to stop getting in the ring because, out of fear of getting them injured.
I think the most telling facet about WrestleMania this year, I think, is in large part due to this is the first WrestleMania post 3-hour conversion. This is the first WrestleMania during the 3-hour Raw era, and there was nothing different between this and a regular episode of Raw. I mean, aside from Twice in a Lifetime and maybe the Brock Triple H match, this was just a regular episode of Raw. I can't even say like it was an extended version of Raw. It just felt like an episode of Raw.
Gil, you've got Punk versus Taker.
Oh yeah,
well, Punk and Cena was on Raw, and that was a great match too. That I would say arguably was better.
Well, Punk versus Taker, I believe, was a standout match. That's the match for all us wrestling guys. Made us all like sort of wet ourselves. But in terms of the card, you're right. The Raw the next night had a far better crowd. It was a far better show. You had more surprises, more going on in terms of what it had for. But the main thing, if you're talking money, you're talking figures, the reason why it made the gross that it did was because of the fact you had Rock and Cena. It's a low down dirty shame, but that's the truth. Now, they need to think, right, this is the save show, this is the amount of money we've made, what are we going to do next year? And how are we going to
use our current roster to build a show that's just good and will draw as much interest without The Rock.
Well, they're going to have to do that now because their big plan was to build up to Brock versus Rock for next year. At least that's what I've heard.
And have that.
Thank fucking God we're not going to get that because I really didn't want to see that.
It'll probably be The Rock getting his win back.
Well, another thing I don't want to see is another hot tag here, and that's the Total Divas show on the E! Network, which not only sounds terrible, but sounds terrible also for the WWE Network, because if they're constantly doing this kind of thing where they're taking these show ideas and they're putting them on YouTube or on Hulu or on these other networks, what confidence do they have in this fucking network ever taking about? It's not going to happen if they keep doing this.
Well, I think they announced this network without realizing how hard it is to launch a cable network. I like say, they just assumed we're the WWE. People are going to want this. They're going to rush out in droves and contact their cable providers to try and get this. And
we have an app.
Yeah, we have an app.
They should learn from their experience, because when the last two times they tried to do something like this, it was, we can make a fucking NFL team. What the hell?
Yeah.
And we can do films. It's not like every film is going to tank terribly.
Saying that, the film company is making a profit, At the
Really, it
moment,
usually
yeah.
costs them money every single year.
They're making a
That's
profit now.
actually
What is it? A
wrong.
profit of like $2,000?
They break even every year because of the fact that you don't lose money on films. There's an audience for it any way that you slice it. You know, you look at online revenue from places like Netflix. You look at revenue through advertising, through licensing deals that they have with TV and cable networks. They don't lose money on these films that they put out. That's one of the reasons why they've like stuck to their guns in regards to WWE films. Now, in regards to the network itself, Oprah nearly went bankrupt launching her network. You know, the network was tanking. She had to keep lifting up with her own financial income, you know, with her own private income, and she's a billionaire. You know, you
We're
look at
gonna
stuff.
have Oprah against Vince McMahon, hair versus hair.
No, but you know, if you look at that, what chance does the Vince and Co have in putting out together a network? Plus the fact that their writers are useless, and their creative teams have no idea what they're doing in terms of their product. Their overall product is suffering. So they need to figure out a plan, and the best way to do it at the moment is create dumb shows and license them out. Reality television is probably the best bet that they have, because how many times can you sell a wrestling to people? They've got about they've got 9 different hours of wrestling on television, so they've got to try other avenues like the Legends House and stuff like that.
I think the big problem is that they've built up a hubris in terms of the WWE name. They think the name they've been able to make money just off of the name itself for so long that they honestly think that's all they need. They don't need content, they don't need quality. It's just, we are the WWE, we are a name. We can
People
we
love
can
the
do
name,
anything.
they'll buy anything.
Yeah.
It's a great Vince impersonation.
There's a good brand
Get on
such
the
as
network. You got an
Disney,
app.
so to speak, but even then you have like a bad sort of brand like Fox, who just license
God.
everything and anything that they have. Like
Well,
you get Simpson mugs and bits and pieces
do we
flying around there and merchandise without quality of content. The WWE's the same way because they know they've got the fans come in droves to go to WWE events. They come in droves to purchase WWE merchandise. Hell, you know, Nash
For
was saying
instance, I'm
recently
actually going
on
to SmackDown for the Tuesday taping coming up.
Wasn't there another company a couple years ago that was in a situation like this? They wasted their name and plastered it on everything, ignored quality, and then was it World Championship? What was that
Well,
thing?
I mean, they did survive the football thing and Vince's bodybuilding federation.
I would have to say this, Miguel. You're kind of wrong on this. World Championship Wrestling never that company wasn't in arrears. It wasn't dying. It was doing the same numbers that the WWE's programming is doing today, that TNA is doing today. It's that the fact that they didn't have a foundation of a network, plus the major investors that wanted a network platform to launch the shows on, couldn't come to terms with that sort of an agreement. They just wanted it. AOL wanted it off the brand.
You want to know something interesting that I actually just watched? I was watching a U shoot that Kayfabe Commentaries did with Jerry Jarrett for one of their DVDs, and he actually said that he actually put out a bid that was higher than WWE's for WCW, and what he was going to do is he was going to do basically the TNA model. He wanted to buy the rights to WCW and do the weekly pay-per-view thing for them because he wanted to keep WCW alive, and for some reason Turner and Time Warner basically just sold the rights to WWE, I guess, but that just made it interesting because I would have loved to have seen WCW done on that type of level. I think that would have worked. I think they would definitely be in a better spot now than TNA is.
Well, I think even Jericho said it. He goes, the price that Vince paid for the company for the championships. He paid something ridiculous. Jericho said that he could have bought the company for that much. He would have put in a bid if he knew that he could get it for the price that Vince paid.
If I remember correctly, in the death of WCW, they said it was $5 million.
Yeah, it was ridiculous amounts of money. The company itself was probably valued about 10 to 15 million.
Well, Jerry Jarrett put up a bid for $50 million. He was going to buy it for $50 million, and for some reason they just decided to sell it to Vince for $5 million.
Well, he ended up creating his own company, which nearly hemorrhaged money. Well, probably still is hemorrhaging money.
Well, the other hot tag I wanted to talk about kind of has to do with the Divas thing. Something else that might not get on TV anytime soon. Rosa Mendes was sent home from the WWE tour for being drunk off her fucking ass.
Yeah, I think this was a PR thing because again, when you go to other countries and you're not there all the time, and it's it's like it's when the circus comes to town. When the WWE comes to Europe, it's a big thing over there. I'm assuming. So anytime you have somebody that's visibly drunk and causing a scene,
you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. Go home, Rosa. You're drunk. I mean, you can get away with it in the States because no one's paying attention outside of the town that they're in. But when
hell, they even encourage it in some towns.
Exactly. But hey, if it means the end of Rosa Mendez' career, I'm not really that disappointed. I hope she goes to other avenues and just
continues to sit there and not do anything.
Continues.
Yeah, I've got something to say. I got something to say about that because me and Chris actually talked about this earlier, about a few hours before the show started. Really, has the Divas division meant anything as of late? I mean, the whole division itself, like, I'm actually happy they're actually doing this reality TV show simply because of the fact that it's something for them to do. I mean, the division has just meant nothing. I mean, you have no stars, no storylines, barely any matches. I mean,
you have one star, AJ Lee.
That's it.
Yeah.
And she's a manager.
My ex.
No, but she's number one contender.
Now, yeah, but for the last half a year, what she's been doing, or fucking full year, what she's been doing, managing people.
I mean, honestly, as a division, if they just got rid of the Divas title, I don't think it would really have an impact on the product at all.
No, it would not.
No, not one impact whatsoever. The only thing that would end up happening was the few fans that are out there that, and there are some that are mostly, I would think, women that and younger women probably too, that actually do look upon that as like, oh, I'm watching that because I like to see the women wrestlers and all that. They would be like, oh man, that's a shame. All right, well, what's John Cena doing now? Like, it really, there wouldn't be much of an impact at all. I mean, look at the way that they book things now. I mean, they have Caitlyn as the champion, and somebody like Natalia Neidhart not only isn't the champion, she's not even wrestling. She fucking puts out
that is the second saddest career I've seen in WWE. Just the way the gimmicks they've saddled her with, and it's just it really upsets me.
Natalia.
Yeah, farting Natalia had more to do with her than when she actually was going for championships and all that. They must have something against her because they have never wanted to utilize her since the beginning. I don't understand why, but at the same time, I understand completely why they don't use Rosa, because she's terrible.
I mean, when the biggest stars you have in your division are the Bella Twins, you got problems.
Yeah, and they should just can the whole thing. Screw the TV show. Screw Rosa.
I'll take that job.
Rumors that Triple H is doing this on purpose to silently phase out the division entirely. I don't know if that's entirely true, but you'd be hard pressed not to believe it at this point.
Well, they're not going to get rid of the women's division because not only because of the reality TV show, but they also have their modeling half. I think they have they're starting a third party modeling division where you can actually license out the divas to other model magazine agencies. So I do see that from a business standpoint, they do need the divas, but product wise, like I said, you could literally just toss the belt in a trash can, and I don't think people would mind.
I disagree, Miguel. You forgot about another crucial point. They've got a Divas Championship on Next now. So yeah, the developmental division has its own Divas Championship.
Why?
They're going to have a tournament for it. So they've got up-and-coming divas.
Talent in NXT for the female talent's better than what they got on the main roster.
Yeah, and I think Triple H knows this. And he has gone on the record stating that he won't bring anybody up unless they have plans for them. Hence the reason I feel they haven't put anybody new in the Divas division as of yet.
Which you can't argue with that. It's a really good idea to have a plan for somebody before you fucking bring them up to TV and they end up doing nothing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah, about 90% of the people, that's what they do.
If they've got a plan and they do plan on actually evolving the division, then I'm all for it. I really am. But as is, like I said, if they got rid of the
Yeah.
division now,
It would not matter one single bit if they dumped the title secretly in the dumpster to whatever arena they're in that week. Yeah.
Just
As
bring
I
back,
said-
what's her name? Alundra Blaze, and she can win the championship, throw it in a trash can, and that'll be it.
Yep. And that's it.
The fact is, women's does draw. You know, if you look at TNA, their women's division actually scores higher than the men.
That's been the
Shimmer
case for
is a
years.
women's promotion, is it not?
Yeah, and that Dave Prazak, shout out to Dave Prazak, who's actually one of my friends on Facebook, believe it or not. He runs a promotion and does a lot of work with the ladies, and they sell out. You know, a lot of the female talent who come from that promotion go on to promotions like TNA and even WWE at some point. So they do have a viable. There is a viable use of female talent.
You know what
But
I heard
I think-
though? You know what I heard about these female promotions, and coming from someone who has booked buildings or owned buildings that these promotions have used. A lot of the people that attend these shows are pervy old men.
Yeah.
That's sort of like a fetish thing.
That's
And
what I
they
was
even
going to say with the TNA thing.
yeah,
Is
they
that
even
people, it's a Spike TV. That's a man channel. That the reason the women draw higher on Spike on TNA is because of that. You
I
know,
mean, this person even said that if they went and sold individual dividers, so the guys wouldn't have to see each other, they would have, tripled their income from the show. So guys could just sit there and tug it, to whoever they want to tug it to. Oh, privacy.
They renamed the first 4 aisles the Splash Zone.
Well, that would be the only reason to keep Rosa.
Yeah.
But that should pretty much do us in for the hot tags. And the next part, we'll talk about whether or not Cody Rhodes should get a belt or a shovel.